action. And action has to do with the height above the fretboard, actually above the top of the fret. Okay, and everybody's, just to make sure, the frets are these little silver things that are in your guitar neck, okay? They're what helps you to, make different notes on the guitar. And the action is the distance between the string and the top of that fret that you're going to push the string down to get your note, okay? And the idea we want to do is you want that distance to be as small as it possibly can be, because it makes your guitar so much easier to play, and you'll play faster, and you'll be able to fret truer notes and so forth. And there's just kind of a rule of thumb that we use, and that is that it's as low as possible without buzzing. So depending on how you play, what the attack, how hard you hit your guitar, if you're a finger-style player or if you're a flat-picking kind of a guitar player, that can determine where you set your action and how high that it is. But I want to show you what good action is, and I want to talk to you about how you get good action on your guitar, and what you can do to adjust that, all right? First of all, let's just kind of be clear that the action on your guitar is a function of several things that you see listed there on your notes. First of all, it has to do with the height of your bridge and your saddle, particularly the saddle part of the guitar. And you can see on the screen up here, the saddle is the white part. For most guitars, it is either made of plastic. The better guitars use either a bone material, or they use a synthetic material that's as hard as bone, sometimes called corian or tusk. And that saddle right there is the most critical thing that you're going to use to adjust your action, okay? And we want to show you exactly how to be able to do that. The other thing that affects the action on your guitar is the angle of the neck to the body, and make sure I've got some pins here to write with. And what I want to say to you is that if you were to kind of be looking at a guitar from the side, okay, and here's your bridge, and you've got your strings coming across here, and they're tying into the neck of the guitar, okay, and so forth. Everybody's following my great artwork here, and the neck of your guitar fits on like that. Basically, you actually want the neck of the guitar to almost be tipping backwards and not being flat with the top of the guitar. Because when you have that particular geometrical angle, it makes playing your guitar so much easier. And it helps to keep the action in the right range. Because your guitar, especially acoustic guitars, have so much force pulling on them. There's about 160 to 170 pounds of force that's constantly pulling on the top of the guitar. Over time, the top of the guitar itself can begin to distort and get a little bit higher, and that kind of starts raising this, and so your action gets higher. But also, it's natural that every guitar, the neck itself starts pulling forward because this area of the guitar right here, as it's under stress, that angle at which the guitar neck is attached begins to change slightly. And so, it doesn't matter how expensive a guitar it is, you can have the most expensive guitar in the world, but after about 20 years of that constant pulling force, your neck angle is going to be needing to be adjusted. And so action is going to constantly be changing over time with your guitar. Sometimes even the change in seasons, when it gets a little bit drier, when it's a little more humid, the top of your guitar will move a little bit. That can change your action. Because you only have to change your action 1/64th of an inch. Okay, you got your scale there? On the right side, you see what 1/64th is? 1/64th of an inch is all your action has to change for it to feel completely different for you. In fact, you can feel the difference with a change a lot less than a 64th. It's just impossible to make less than a 64th of a change, and you just can't do that. And so we tend to talk in 64ths and 30 seconds when we want to adjust the action on a guitar. But just changing 1/64th is the difference between medium action and low action on a guitar. 1/64th of an inch. Okay. So we're talking about precision kind of stuff. Now the saddle that sits on the bridge, that's where part of your action is set, but also at the top nut that you see here. The top nut is this little white guy up here. It's usually made of the same material that your saddle is made of. It may be a different color perhaps, but typically it's made of the same material. And again, many guitars, this is out of plastic. If at all possible, especially the top nut needs to be made out of something harder than plastic, because it really helps the sound of your guitar.
Steve, does that make a difference if it's either plastic or bone? Would bone give it more?
Bone is much better to, anytime you can change out plastic and replace it with bone, you're way ahead of the game to do that. And it's just because,
Any kind of bone?
there's different kinds of bone. You can get fossil type bone that's even harder than cow bone. And when you go into the store and you want to buy, for example, a bone blank to make a saddle, it'll look something like that. And that's probably just a big cow bone that they have sawn up and machined it, and it's probably a cow bone, and it's not very old. I bet you that bone isn't 10 years old. But you can pay a lot of money to get fossil bone, and it's even harder because time has gone by. It depends on how sick you want to be. Is really what it comes down to, because it's pretty hard to hear the difference between regular bone and fossil bone, in my opinion. But bone definitely is better than plastic.
And that's for both ends.
At both ends, yeah. Here's what you want to understand about the guitar. The guitar is a vibrating instrument, okay? The whole thing is about vibration. It's the vibration you put into the top that projects the sound out. It's the ability for the entire guitar to vibrate as freely as possible. There's vibration that even transfers up the neck. There's obviously the vibration of the string that's attached at the top nut here, but even the kind of headstock you have, how heavy the tuners are on the back, whether or not you have a capo that's attached on here, all can affect the sound of your guitar because of the vibrating that it's going to do. So it only makes sense that you want to enhance the vibration of the guitar, and one of the best ways you can do it is enhance the ability of the string to vibrate. If it's plastic, it doesn't vibrate as good as if it's a harder material. Does that make sense? And so that's why having a bone saddle and a bone top nut is a critical thing. One of the issues, though, related to action is how much distance there is up here on this top nut, because when these guitars come out of the factory, typically they have filed the top nut and the strings are sitting in it. But frankly, your action up here may be much higher than it needs to be, and it makes it harder for you to play. And you're actually going to stretch and mess up intonation if it's too high. Because if you have to push the string farther down, it's going to bend the string farther. Does that make sense, what I'm talking about here? So here's a quick thing you can do to just check the action at the top nut of your guitar. You want to check it at the 3rd fret. And the way I like to do that is just hold down the guitar at the 3rd fret, the string, each individual string, and then see how much play I have when it's held down at the 3rd fret, how much play I have for the string above the 1st fret, okay? And what I want to say to you is that a thin business card, and I mean a thin business card, should be able to slide underneath your string without lifting the string. That's a pretty good action adjustment at the 1st fret. Some people actually will file deeper and take their strings lower, but if you do go lower than that, you're going to develop some other problems. And one of the main ones is when you're capoing, especially up in this area, the 3rd, 4th, 5th fret, sometimes you'll be playing the guitar. First time I took this one out of the box when I got it, I started playing a song on it, and when I got right here And I was playing this chord right here. All of a sudden I got this weird vibration kind of a sound, and I knew exactly what it was. And that is that when I hit this string, I got it, but that string was causing this string to vibrate against the top of the fret right here. And I just had enough experience, I knew exactly where the problem was. And when I looked, I noticed my truss rod was a little bit raised right there, and so I adjusted it and got it back, and bingo, it took care of that problem. If you file these too deep, and the string is actually, there is no distance between the string and the top of the fret, it's too low. And you're gonna have buzzing when you play open strings. I mean, you're gonna have the string buzzing against the top fret right there. Or if you capo, you're gonna be running into the kind of problems I'm talking about. And so it's important that your action needs to be adjusted at the right height. Okay. And just because you bought a nice guitar at a great place doesn't mean it's adjusted right. Okay, they come out of Martin's factory set way too high, and they need to be set up usually.
Is it only the top 3 that you're checking, or do you check others?
Just need the top 3 for what we're talking about here of the top nut height. Okay, there's more to taking care of action than that. But
okay,
in order to know whether your top nut is too high, it's checking it that way, and you check it across all the strings because they can vary. Sometimes your first high E string will be fine, sometimes your B, but then these others get way too high, and so that needs to be taken care of. Okay. I'll tell you what, I'll talk to you about how you adjust that a little bit later, because I'd like to keep moving to make sure we don't get lost in the weeds here.